Big Van Patten says 8 is enough, but others don't agree. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game we love each and every day. Here we go with the 16-team playoff. So there are a couple different ways to slice this up. But before we do, of course, we will slice and you will smash the like button. Please hit the bell for the notifications once you subscribe, and you'll want to subscribe. That way you know when we're going live every day. Just about every day, and sometimes multiple times per day. All right, 16-team playoff. This is what it would look like in two different modes. So let's look through the college football playoff era at what a 16-team playoff would look like. One in which we take a much bantied about formula. The other one, we just strictly look at the college football playoff rankings. So this video is focusing on 2020, the season just completed, which is, of course, the least relevant season to look at, not diminishing Alabama's championship. I'm not saying that. I'm saying based on results. Arizona State played 3 games this year. You know, the Pac-12 basically got on the field for a couple practices, and that was it. So it's the least meaningful set of results. So the playoff may look more odd, stranger in 2020 than in any other season. But bear with me as you always do. Here we go. This is a 16-team playoff based on giving automatic berths to all the conference champions, not just the Power 5, all the conference champions. So think of it this way. It's like an NCAA tournament bracket. You've got 16 teams. We've got 10 conferences. So, again, even the Sun Belt, the MAC, the Mountain West, all the Group of Fives get in. The conference champion. So you got 10 automatic berths. And then we go to the wildcard system of 6 of the other best teams in the country. What this is going to result in is that you're going to have the 11 best teams in the country playing in this playoff. And then you're going to have maybe the 20th best team and the 34th best team, and the Sun Belt champion in certain years might be the 52nd best team, whatever. The MAC champion might be the 58th best team. And, of course, I'm just throwing out random numbers. But to give you a concept of what we're dealing with. We are not in any way saying that these would be the 16 best teams in the country, but they're the 16 teams that earned it. Again, the 10 conference champions, so 5 of them from the Power 5, and then with the 6 wild cards being the best non-conference champions, you can guarantee the 11 best teams in college football are going to be in the 16-team tournament, and then the other teams are going to be what they are. They're Group of 5 champions. So this is what that format would look like. And by wild cards, I selected these based on record. And then I went through a tiebreaker process that I'll explain when it applies. So these would be the matchups this season, 2020, under this format. You would have a 1-16 game between Alabama and Ball State. The Crimson Tide, of course, 11-0. Ball State, the MAC champion, at 6-1. You've got an 8-9 game between Indiana, wild card team at 6-1 out of the Big Ten. Florida, a wild card team out of the SEC at 8-3. Notre Dame is the 4th seed, 10-1. San Jose State at the 13th seed out of the Mountain West. They are the champion out of the Mountain West. They were 7-0 in the regular season. Oklahoma makes it into the playoff, Big 12 champion, 8-2. North Carolina, we had to break some ties here, and we'll explain that in just a second. North Carolina gets in as the 12 seed. That's a 5-12 game. The 2-15 game is Clemson, and here's where 2020 doesn't work. Marshall and UAB did not play the Conference USA Championship game. So whoever would have won that game, so Marshall went 7-2, UAB 6-3, but they were slated to play in the conference title game. It was not played. So Marshall, UAB against Clemson. Same thing here. We've got a 7-10 game where Coastal Carolina was undefeated in the regular season. Louisiana was the one team that they beat, and that was Louisiana's only loss in a 9-1 season. They went on and played a playoff or a postseason bowl game. So, again, we didn't have a Sun Belt championship game. So it would have either been Coastal or Louisiana taking on Georgia, wild card out of the SEC at 7-2. Okay, the 3-14 game is Ohio State and Oregon. Oregon, kind of a low seed, as a Power 5 champion, but of course this season they only went 4-2. Ohio State undefeated 6-0. Then Texas A&M, the 6th seed. Iowa State, the 11 seed. They get a wild card berth out of the Big 12. Okay, the teams that were left out, Miami 8-2. Yes, they had a better record than North Carolina, but we considered North Carolina went 8-3 and Miami went 8-2, and we're making a judgment call here basically. They had the same win total, they play in the same conference, and North Carolina killed Miami. So they earned the spot over Miami, 8-3, 8-2. Same thing, North Carolina State 8-3. North Carolina beat North Carolina State by at least 3 touchdowns. Iowa could have been selected, but they only played 8 games. They were 6-2. Northwestern, same thing, 6-2. Having played in a Big Ten championship game, that was their second loss. They were 6-1. So do you punish or penalize a team for having played in its conference championship game? But again, this is much clearer to determine in a regular season, normal season, in which we've got 12 games. USC, same thing. They lost a conference championship game, but they only went 5-1. So I awarded the teams that played the most games out of the other conferences, and there you see some group of fives that could have been considered, including Liberty at 9-1. BYU only had 1 loss as well. Now let's go to the college football playoff rankings. So this is a straight rip. There's no decisions to be made. Just by those 13 people in the closed room, we don't know what they're talking about inside the room. But they just come out with their rankings, and therefore we don't have to think about anything. Shoot, they could leave out champions of conferences. But this would have been the 16-team playoff based on the selection committee's rankings this year. Bama and BYU as a 1-16 game. The 8-9 was, look familiar, Cincinnati, Georgia. They played in the Peach Bowl. Great game right there. For those who don't think that an expanded playoff would result in good games. Notre Dame, North Carolina, the 4-13 game. And again, there might be better matchups out there, especially since some of these teams already played. But I'm just going strictly with the 1-16 college football playoff rankings. So Notre Dame, of course, played UNC in the regular season, won that game. So they rematch it for and the 13 seed. Here's a good one. Texas A&M and Coastal Carolina, the 5-12 game. And again, we took Coastal Carolina. Well, again, this is just the rankings based on the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. 2-15 game, Clemson, Iowa. 7-10 game, Florida, Iowa State. Ohio State, Northwestern. They already played in the Big Ten championship game, but that's the 3-14 game. And then the 6-11 game, Oklahoma, Indiana. So consider those teams that made it in under the wire. The 14, 15, and 16 seeds were Northwestern, Iowa, and BYU. The teams that were just left out, you had some conference champions like Oregon, Ball State, and San Jose State. You also, again, had Miami at 8-2, Louisiana at 9-1. They have an argument as well. So 16-team playoff, that's how it would have played out in 2020. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Best discussion, debate, analysis. That's our goal. That's our aim. That's our mission each and every day. Lock it in. Please subscribe. Hit that bell for the notifications. We go live all the time. You can join in if you know when that's going to be. Hit that bell for the notifications, and we'll see you soon.